If you are a woman over 40 and you do not know the exact dollar amount that you need to retire, that's a problem. Because retirement isn't some vague someday thing. It's a specific number. And once you know that number, you can actually create a plan to get there or you don't. So I actually sat down and ran the numbers for mine. And in today's video, I'm going to walk you through those exact numbers. That way you can apply it to yourself, or honestly, you can just steal my plan. So let me go ahead and show you the math. I'm going to show you right now how to calculate your retirement number. I have my notes right here. I'm going to be looking at my notes a lot because I want to make sure that I give you the exact number amount. And if you are following along, take out a notepad and pen and actually jot this down, okay? So there is a simple formula called the 4% rule. And experts say that you can safely withdraw 4% of your total savings per year in retirement without ever running out of money. Now, I love this because it helps you calculate how much money you actually need. So to find your number, you need to think about how much money you need to live on per year. Now, I had to sit down with this for a second, and I thought, wow, this is crazy because I can either go higher or I can do the bare minimum. I actually chose to go a little bit higher. Now, what you're going to do is once you have that number, you need to multiply it by 25. Okay, so think about how much money you need to live on per year. Now, me personally, like I just mentioned, I don't want a tight retirement. And the reason why I went higher is because I'm thinking about emergencies. I'm thinking about just things that come up and you just never know. If I go low and I start with the bare minimum that I can live off of and something happens, then I'm going to be stuck in a place where I'm not financially able to take care of myself. So with that being said, I want breathing room. So my number is $75,000 per year. Now, some people may say that they want to go a little bit higher. It just means you have a different lifestyle. Again, look at the life that you live right now. What are you currently spending money on? Are you going to be able to cut back when it's time for retirement? We all have different lives. We live in different parts of the world. All of that you have to take into account. So with my number of $75,000 a year, that means that I need to multiply that by 25. And once I did that, I came up with my number, $1.87 million. Now, I know what you're thinking, because when I saw that number a couple months ago, I freaked out. I was like, how on God's green earth am I going to reach that? And I'm just starting at 45. Stay with me, okay? But here's what most people forget. And this is something that I learned recently. You get Social Security. So Social Security is going to cover a part of that. So the average retired worker, remember in my videos, I talk about this, they receive around $1,970 per month in Social Security once they're retired. That equals about $23,640 per year. So my investments only need to cover the difference. So if I take my $75,000 and I minus the $23,640, that means my portfolio only needs to generate around $51,360 per year. You see what I did there? So go ahead and do the math for yourself when you account for Social Security. Now, if we use the 4% rule now, that means instead of the $1.875 million, that means I now only need $1.284 million in my investments account. Beautiful. Are you with me? All right, so let's move on. So when I first saw the $1.284 million, I thought, okay, there's no way I can get there at 45, but then I was like, wait a minute, you have set goals for yourself since you've been an entrepreneur at the age of 21, and you've hit every single goal. This is no different. Go ahead and break down the math and then make your decision. And that's what I did. So I first started with my first account, which is my Roth IRA. So my Roth IRA right now is in Vanguard. And like I mentioned in my previous videos, I am investing in VTI, which is a total stock market index fund. I'm not focusing on diversification right now because what I want to focus on is consistency, investing every single month, hitting my annual goals, as well as increasing the money that I can put in at least one of my accounts, which is my brokerage account. And we'll discuss that in a little bit. So right now at the age of 45, I can contribute $7,500 per year. Once I turn 50 in my Roth IRA, I can then have a catch-up contribution, and they allow me to invest annually up to $8,600. So if I max out my Roth IRA every single year for the next 20 years with an 8% return, my Roth IRA is going to grow to about $400,000. And I'm going to explain in a little bit why I'm using the 8% return and not 10%. So that means that the total contribution that I'm actually going to contribute in the next 20 years in my Roth IRA is $166,500. And the rest of that $400,000 is from compound interest. Beautiful, right? Okay. So my Roth alone has now gotten me 1/3 of the way there. Now we need to add my SEP IRA. Now, if you are someone who has a 401k, you're going to do this for your 401k. If you right now have a Roth in addition to a 401, then you're going to calculate those two accounts. I have been working for myself pretty much my entire adult life. So with that being said, I don't have a 401k. I have my Roth IRA, and then I have a SEP IRA, which is for self-employed individuals like myself. Now, with a SEP IRA, I'm allowed to contribute 20% of my net self-employment income. With that, the maximum contribution per year is $72,000. However, I realized that I'm not going to be focusing on the max contribution. I wanted to set a specific number amount that I know I can hit every single year. And with that, if I go over, great. We're going to look at that a little bit later. But remember, I have my goal, and I want to focus on that 1.284 million. So I'm targeting to contribute $12,000 per year in my SEP IRA. That is around $1,000 per month. So if I put the $12,000 per year into my SEP IRA for the next 20 years with an 8% return, that is going to give me around $589,000. Now, if we add up my Roth IRA, which is $400,000 over the next 20 years with 8% return, and now we add that to my SEP IRA, same 20 years, same 8% return, and the $589,000, now together, that is $989,000. That's two accounts. I am closing in on my goal. So now I started to get excited. See, this is why it's very important that you do the math and you don't count yourself out. And this is why it's also important to have multiple income streams. And we're going to talk about that a little later, okay? So now I'm closing in on my goal. And that is just two accounts. Now, this is the beautiful thing about having a brokerage account. The reason why the brokerage account is very, very important is because there's no contribution limits. Now, I understand that it doesn't have any tax advantages like your Roth IRA. However, it's very flexible. So I can pull from it at any time without penalties. Now, my plan, if you watch my other videos, you will notice that my plan is to be investing $500 a month in my brokerage account. And I'm investing in VTI. All of my accounts are investing in VTI. I'm keeping it very simple for this reason, because my bigger goal is more important right now than the diversification of my index funds. So right now I'm at $300 a month. However, probably the next month, I'm going to get to my $500 a month. I have one more debt to pay off, and that debt is around $200 a month. So that 200 added to the 300 is going to be the 500. But if I put $500 a month in my brokerage account, that is around $6,000 a year. That's really not a lot of money. And to be honest, I'm going to be putting way more than that. But remember, I'm calculating for literally the bare minimum. That's not to say that I'm going to go over in my brokerage, because I know I will, right? Maxing out my Roth and my SEP, go over my brokerage anytime that I can when I have the money to do so, because that means I reach my goal faster. I don't have to wait till 65 to hit that 1.284. I can hit it when I'm 50, when I'm 55. So going back to my brokerage account, over 20 years, 8% return, that grows to about $295,000. Okay. Now let's go ahead and add everything up. We're looking at my Roth IRA with $400,000, my SEP IRA with $589,000, and now we have my brokerage account at $295,000. This is over the 20-year span with an 8% return. Y'all, that is exactly $1.284 million. My target was 1.284, and the math literally hits the bullseye. That's when I knew that was a sign from God. This is about to happen, because I can't make this stuff up. I had that number prior to even doing the math. So it's crazy how it all adds up. Now, here's the thing. If I'm using the 4% rule from that 1.284 million, my portfolio generates about $51,360 a year. Remember, because when I add Social Security now on top of that, now I'm looking at exactly $75,000. So my portfolio is generating the 51,000 plus the 23 plus thousand from Social Security. Adding those two together gives me my 75,000 that I need to live off of. Now, here's the thing that I want to notate. Why does this work even when you're starting at 45? Or you're starting at 40, or you're starting at 35. Some of you guys are watching right now, you're starting maybe at 28. You can increase that number dramatically by starting earlier. I know what most of you are thinking. Okay, you're using 8% return. I know that returns aren't guaranteed. We all know that. And you're right. There's going to be some years in the market where there's going to be 20% return. And then there's going to be some years that is down. But historically, the average of the US stock market over long term is closer to 10% per year. So 8% is me really being realistic and giving me a safer baseline. Because I know in my mind, if I can get on average 10%, then I'm going to exceed my goal. So let's even say the next 10 years that I start this from 45 to 55, I get 10% return for those 10 years. Then I'm closer to reaching my goal than waiting until 65. Do you get what I'm saying? So I did the safer baseline because I know that it's going to relieve stress when I know year after year after year, we're past that 8%. I just know I'm that much closer to reaching my goal. So the key is though, to have 20 years. That's a long time for compound interest to do its job, especially when you are on an accelerated path like I am and you are putting in a lot more money per month. And here's the part that I love the most, and it really put things in perspective. So out of the $1.284 million, I only contributed $526,500. So that means the $757,500 is pure growth. That is all compound interest. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And honestly, now that I think about it, do I have a little bit of regret that I didn't start earlier? I do. But I know this for certain. If I would have started this in my 20s, in my 30s, I don't think that I would have been as aggressive and as into it as I am now. I honestly think at this age, I can invest more and save more by the time I'm 65 than if I would have started early, because I just know the things that I focused on in my 20s and 30s. And even though I would have had a good nest egg now, I probably would have just been on that slow path and just settled for whatever I had at the end of the day. Now I feel like I'm in the mindset to go above and beyond that. And I honestly think that it's to my advantage, but I'm honestly excited about the next 20 years and the path that I'm currently on. So at the age of 65, to give you the full picture, I have 3 accounts now: my Roth IRA, my SEP IRA, and my brokerage account. And they are all going to total around $1.284 million. And if I use the 4% rule, that gives me about $51,360 a year in my portfolio. But when I add the Social Security on top of that, then I'm right around $75,000 that I need to live off of. And guess what? There's going to be some years that I probably won't need that full 75,000. Great. I'm not pulling out everything, but I know in my mind that that's going to be a baseline where I can live comfortably. So I can definitely say with this plan that I hit my target goal with a little bit breathing room, right? And listen, I'm starting late, but I'm not starting over. I'm starting late, but I'm not starting over. My total monthly investments is exactly what I already knew in my head. When I guessed how much money I'm going to need to invest per month for the next 20 years in order to catch up, I knew it was around $2,000. And it's so amazing when I actually sat down and did the math, all of my projections was almost spot on. So I need to invest from the time now, 45 to 49, I need to be investing around $2,100 per month. This is why I want to encourage anyone who's watching this video right now, if you're in the same boat, you need to ensure that you have multiple income streams, because one income stream is not going to be enough for you to run this plan. The reason why I'm able to run this plan is because I have multiple income streams, and one income stream pays all of my bills. The other ones are going straight to retirement and investing. That is the best way to speed up this process, is not relying on one income, is having a side hustle or having another part-time job or something else that's funding your 3 accounts or 2 accounts, how many accounts you have. Now, once I cross 50, that number increases to $2,217 per month. I know at the rate that I'm going and the way that I'm thinking, I'm hoping that I can get there by the time I'm 55. Now, this is God's plan. Whatever God has planned for me, I accept his will. If I have to go to 65, then I'm going to go to 65. But if I know myself, I want to get there the next 10 years. And that means I'm definitely going to be investing a lot more than $2,000 a month. And my multiple income streams is going to help me get there. In closing, I want to say this. I started this journey at the age of 43. 2 years ago, I was lost. I felt discouraged, shame, fear, doubt, all of that, because I knew I had to start over. I took a huge risk to leave the comfort of my lifestyle in Long Beach, California, to move back home, because I knew that I had to be drastic and I had to sacrifice some things if I wanted to reach my goal and if I wanted to live a comfortable life in retirement. And at 45 years old, I didn't have a 401k. I didn't have a pension, but I did have a Roth and a SEP IRA and a brokerage account. And I started small. And every single month, I'm making stride. Some people have asked me in the comments, this plan, these plans that you're sharing, it works, especially when you don't have debt. I agree. You need to focus on, if you're a woman over 40 or a man over 40, or even in your 30s, and you're looking at this and watching this video and you're saying, okay, I want to do the same thing, make sure that you set yourself up for success. The number one thing that you need to do is make sure that you have an emergency fund. I started there. I made sure that I had at least $10,000 in my emergency fund before I started this rapid investment and retirement plan. Because I knew that if I'm putting in so much money into these accounts and I have a slow month, I need to be able to pull from something, because I'm not touching my retirement, right? And even my brokerage, even though I can, I don't want to touch it. So start there. The second thing I knew is that I need to be debt free. Every single penny needs to be going towards my maxing of my Roth, my SEP, and my brokerage account. And once I meet those goals, it's still going to go into my brokerage account. Maybe I'll save a little bit of money to travel and, do things like that. But I'm being very strategic. And in the next 10 years, I'm being very tight with how I spend. And the best way to go about a plan like this is, number one, make sure you have your emergency fund. However much that means to you. For me, I'm still going to work on getting at least 30K, but I'm not going to go back to saving until I hit my max of my plan for this year. Then I'll go back to my high yield savings. See, my plan is just, I know exactly what I'm doing. You got to have a plan. Because when you don't have a plan, that's when the fear and doubt sinks in, because you don't know how to get there. Once you have a plan and a roadmap, it gets easier. Trust me, it gets easier. I started this year with 7 debts. I'm working on my last one for the year. And I'm tackling the 7th one next year, because the rest of this year I'm focusing on maxing out all my accounts. If you would have told me that I would have been where I'm at right now in January, I would have been like, no way. Emergency fund, pay off your debt. Once you are debt free and you have an emergency fund, all of this becomes easy, because now is really about making the money. And that's my third thing, multiple streams of income. If you can do those 3 things, this plan, or any plan that you set for yourself, becomes so much easier. And you will be surprised of how you attract naturally the funds, the clients, the digital product sales, the affiliate marketing sales, the market research. All of this stuff just starts to be attracted to you. Because I believe truly that when you steward with what you have well right now, and you have a plan and you make it clear, as the Bible has instructed us to do, write it down, make it plain. I truly believe that God really pushes you forward in the direction that he has for you. And I have been feeling that like crazy over the past several weeks, because I'm staying focused, consistent, And I'm focusing on what I can control. I'm letting him do the rest. Okay? So I want to encourage you that if you have not done so yet, go to ssa.gov. I'm not affiliated with Social Security, but I want to tell you, go check your number right now. If you have not done so, set up your account, verify your identity, go through all those steps, because once I knew the potential of what I'm going to receive, it allowed me to create this plan a lot easier. Because I had my plan set without the Social Security a couple months ago, and then I redid it because I added it because I found out just this week that I have Social Security. So do that, and I'm telling you, your future self will thank you for it. If you are new to my channel, I want to welcome you. My name is Dupay Alaru. This was your Daily Dose with Dupay. If you enjoyed this video, I want to encourage you to subscribe, because I have a lot more like this coming. My channel is all about building wealth after 40, saving in your high yield savings account for an emergency, paying off your debt, creating your retirement plan and being consistent with it, investing, increasing your credit score for those of us who want to purchase a home. All of this is what this channel is about. And more importantly, the community. Us sharing, commenting, telling each other about our own journeys and what has worked and what hasn't worked, because that empowers and inspires others as well. So I want to thank you all for being a part of this community. And like I always say, until next time, have a beautiful and blessed day.